Backlash is 11 days away, and we have a lot of stuff. First off, I went to the live SmackDown show at Dallas last night. Amazing show, amazing. I mean, just to me, it's just better being there live than being at home watching it every week. And I apologize if my voice is still a little uh, deeper than usual, just because of just all the crazy shit that happened. I mean, one of them we'll get through a little bit later. But first off, we'll just go through the new matches on the card. First off, we have the Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz defends against Dolph Ziggler, which I guess that answers how it happened to Ziggler after losing to AJ Styles last week and no longer being in the world title hunt. As far as I can guess, I did not see Talking Smack because you're live. They don't show Talking Smack on the thing after. In fact, we had a dark match with John Cena, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, which is a very interesting teaming on both ends. But I can only assume that this match was made by Daniel Bryan as some form of revenge, because Daniel Bryan was not on the show at all, except for the opening, which he's on all the time, every week. But that was pretty much it for Bryan. So I can only assume that he made this match on Talking Smack or something, or this was just made out of the blue. It's weird because Ziggler's been down this road before. He's been Intercontinental Champion before, a couple years ago actually, and to me, it's just I don't know about this one. I really don't. Because on one hand, the Miz has held it for a very long time, and any pay per view could be his last with the belt. So on one hand, you could have Ziggler winning this one, but I don't know if you would do that because you need to have the storyline with Miz and Bryan going because we don't know if Bryan's able to medically be cleared to compete at any time. Because he says if they would let him come back, he would in a wrestling role, but I don't think that's going to happen. Um, if anything, this is the storyline of Bryan and Miz needs to keep going, so I would only assume that Miz would win the match and retain his title. Next up, we have the match that was going to be pretty much going to happen regardless. Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. And it's an interesting match for sure because I didn't think this would happen. I also didn't think this would happen. I thought this would just be a match on SmackDown or something, and then that'd be the end of it. But you need to sell tickets somehow for a show, so this would be the best move for that. It's odd because on one hand, Orton got destroyed at SummerSlam to, especially with those elbows, went from 12 to 6. And what I mean by that is think of a clock and Brock's elbow going from the 12 o'clock position to the 6 o'clock position, that point of that elbow going straight into the skull of Randy Orton several times to where he had 10 staples and had a fine of $500, which is pretty much $50 a staple, which is ridiculous in my mind. It should have been a lot more than that, but the storyline with that is there's going to be something that happening at Survivor Series or something when both brands are together again. That'll be a fact of life right there. But with Orton and Bray, it's very different because on one hand, Orton had a nasty gas at SummerSlam with those elbows from Brock to where the match ended at the TKO, so he needs a win at a major show. But on the other hand, Bray needs that very same win on a major show. He has not won on a major show in a very long time. So, if anything, I would put Bray over Orton on this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if Orton won. Because Orton, he needs a win off this weird situation with Brock. And, yeah. And finally, the Tag Team Champions Tournament for the SmackDown Tag Titles gained 2 new people. The Hype Bros beat the Vaudevillains. And Rhino and Slater beat the Headbangers. I don't know where the fuck they came from, but the Headbangers came back for probably the first time I can remember, maybe close to 20 years. Maybe less than that, but probably the first time I've seen them in maybe 20 years. It's fucking unbelievable seeing them there, but they were there to do the job, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, there was several of Heath's kids in the crowd. As you probably saw, thousands of Heath's kids in the crowd. That man is a fucking machine when it comes to making children. It's unbelievable. But what you probably didn't see is Renee Young with Slater and Rhino in an interview segment that had to be have like two takes just because of the blood on Rhino's eye somehow got onto the body of Slater, or either Slater had the cut. I want to say it was Rhino because right away he started getting a towel or something to get something out of his eye. And if anything, if we've known from like a boxing, MMA, or kickboxing like sense of mind, if that blood gets into your eye, that could do serious damage to your eye. Let alone the things that make up your eye to begin with. That could potentially blind a man if that blood goes into the eye. So thankfully that was taken care of, and hopefully we'll have an update on that very soon. But as far as the semifinals now, it's the Usos versus American Alpha, and the Hype Bros versus Rhino and Slater. I don't know who I would pick here. I really don't, because any one of these four teams, well, maybe not the Hype Bros, but any one of these other teams could win the titles and become the first ever SmackDown Tag Champions. Uh, I don't know what's going to happen with this. I really don't. Because, the safe bet would be the Usos, because the Usos are just the tag division in a nutshell for several years, and people are starting to get tired of it. But American Alpha has been very impressive, undefeated on SmackDown so far, and they could have a run for it. Hype Bros, probably not. They're just there to lose to Slater and Rhino. But I'm going to go off on a limb here. Rhino and Slater are going to have an easy way all the way to the finals, and they could be the tag champions just because of that. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen here. So we'll find out on Backlash, and I'm still a little sour of it being on 9/11, but I'm starting to get used to it. If it's a thing, it's there.